Last week, organizers of the uncommitted movement said they requested a meeting with Harris to further discuss their demands of an arms embargo and permanent ceasefire. Harris's national security advisor later clarified that Harris does not support an arms embargo on Israel. Overall, Democrats and independents in 3 states examined the exhibited poll have strong support for a permanent ceasefire and disapproval of unconditional aid to Israel. At least 80% of respondents in each state supported the ceasefire, while more than 60% disapproved of the unconditional military aid to Israel. Roughly a quarter of the respondents in all states said violence in Gaza and candidates' position on it is important to them and will likely sway how they vote. U.S. approves new arms sales in the wake of all of this, of course, and Kamala Harris is not even remotely interested in separating herself from this. It is an unimaginable L, especially because, in the simplest terms, if there was any issue that Biden was polling this unfavorably on, and she tied herself to Biden when she has a unique opportunity to separate herself from Biden. That's why she is now the presidential candidate and not Joseph Robinette Brandon. And she didn't take that opportunity. You'd be fucking screaming bloody murder. But on Israel, it's like everyone is too scared. Everyone's like, oh, well, the Dems probably know something we don't. The Dems probably know something that we don't. And this is important to understand. This is Kamala Harris saying she will disregard U.S. and international law by sending weapons to a government committing human rights violations. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed, but that she would not change policy on withholding even some weapons to Israel. This was my take on it. I said Kamala Harris is not going to separate herself from Biden on Gaza and straight up refuse an arms embargo on Israel to get them to agree to Biden's ceasefire proposal. It's something that large swaths of Americans want. Writing this from North Gaza, Hasan, Kamala Harris is a war criminal who's complicit in this genocide. So this is a journalist in Gaza. I saw the funniest thing I have seen so far. Liberals are even scolding Palestinians in Gaza who are surviving through the genocide being carried out by the current administration for not being critical enough of Trump. Interesting, noticing Hasan has not talked about Trump. Many of us predicted that liberals would continue to use Trump as their performative moral litmus test for years after his first inauguration, such that a decade later, we're still hearing, do you really want Trump to win? After seeing the current admin carry out a Holocaust, liberals either still don't understand or are pretending that our problem does not lie with the candidate, but with the entire U.S. electoral system and the permanent power structures overseeing it. We don't give a fuck who the next better candidate is. We've seen and heard it all before. This man, who is literally in North Gaza as a journalist currently documenting to the best of his ability the ongoing genocide of his people, says Kamala Harris is a war criminal who's complicit in this genocide. And the response is, oh, well, I guess you want Trump to win, sweetie. Like, how fucking, like, this is just the worst. This is no longer poor taste. This is just like, you're a fucking animal. For all the libs doing lesser evil arguments, just know that your continued capitulation will result in the Dems eventually adopting the anti-groomer, anti-LGBT rhetoric in a few short years to appeal to the moderate voter. Mark my words. Exactly. Immigration was one of the most important fucking subjects in the 2020 election. And the Democrats did a full 180 off of that. What makes you think trans people who represent an even smaller percentage of the voter eligible population will not be on the chopping block? It's just simply a talking point.